What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? At the time of this recording, we are less than 24 hours away from the big one, the granddaddy of them all. That's WrestleMania 41 live from my hometown of Las Vegas, Nevada. And I will not be attending this year or any prior year, unfortunately. That's right, I've never been to a WrestleMania show in person. I was excited for this one. When they announced Las Vegas, I was all set to get my tickets until I saw those damn prices. The TKO has officially owned WWE for over a year now. I don't think they quite understood why Vince McMahon would do certain things. And love Vince or hate him, the man always made his shows affordable so families could go. And I'm not faulting TKO. They are a business. They're here to make money. And hey, if they're going to charge exorbitant amounts to attend their shows, and if people are going to purchase them, I can't blame them. They're here to make money. It is what it is. But, we're not here to talk about that today. We are not here to talk about the price of WrestleMania tickets, nor SmackDown, nor Raw, or any of the other cavalcade of festivities they have going on. And trust me, they've taken over Las Vegas. So much going on this weekend. It really is a wrestling fan's paradise, even for someone like me who's not... I'm not big on the modern day product. I love professional wrestling. I love the industry. I've watched it my entire life. Kindergarten, I had a Hulk Hogan folder, and I don't think there'll ever be a point in my life where I don't love wrestling. It's just something that I've always gravitated to, I've connected with, and it's just a beautiful thing. And especially when you see the look in the eyes of people who don't quite understand it, but it's all good. The reason we're here today is to talk about Jey Uso. He is going to be opening night one, Saturday night, and it was a nice surprise to see him win the Royal Rumble in January. I was almost positive it was going to be CM Punk. And then when him and Roman Reigns was probably second on my list, make it a trilogy between Roman and Cody, definitely was a possibility in my mind. So to see Punk and Roman relatively get eliminated at the same time, that opened up the options. But then, of course, my mind defaulted to John Cena, and for good reason. We're on John Cena's farewell tour, so to give him one last Rumble win, have him go on to WrestleMania, main event it, definitely was in my mind. But the moment Cena was on the apron and Jey Uso knocked him off, man, that was a surprise. It was a good surprise. I know the internet crowd, there's a bunch of fans on Twitter who didn't enjoy it, but I don't know. It was the first time I had been genuinely surprised at a moment in wrestling in longer than I can remember. Usually I can see what's coming miles away. I get a couple notes of a storyline and it all just kind of unravels in my mind. And that's probably just a byproduct of me watching for so long, processing all the different options and where it may lead us. But I was genuinely, and I was on a live stream too with some friends, and a couple of my buddies were complaining when Jey Uso won the Rumble, but I was relatively surprised. I was happy. I like it when I don't see what's coming next. That being said, I was worried. If you know anything about me, which you probably don't because this is my first video on the channel, I've never been a big Triple H fan. Yeah, he can go in the ring, he can deliver a good match, but a lot of his and not to say he's not good at his politics either, but a lot of his backstage politics have wore thin on me through the years, and I was a little worried about the follow-up with Jey Uso. The next Monday after the Rumble, Jey comes out, cuts a promo. It wasn't horrible by any means, but it didn't quite feel like Jey Uso met the moment either. But I'm still happy for the guy. He brought his son in the ring. It was cool to see. But he was left with two options at that point. See, Jey Uso is one of the few in wrestling history to win a Royal Rumble, to go through 30 other men and be the last man standing. And the fact that the last person he did eliminate was John Cena, that's an exclamation point. That's a statement. And knowing that his two options would be Cody Rhodes with the WWE Championship or Gunther with the World Heavyweight Championship, realistically, guys, there's only one way to go there. You don't battle 30 other men, be one of the few people in history to win a Royal Rumble, and then choose the secondary prize. That's not what a champion does. That's not a winner's mentality. You go for it all. You go for the gold. And WWE may vaguely pretend that they're on the same level when the storyline or the narrative calls for it, but let's make no mistake, the WWE Championship is the top prize in this industry. The World Heavyweight Championship is supposed to be the top prize on Raw, yet it's not even main eventing either night of WrestleMania. The main event is going to be Roman Reigns, who's a SmackDown wrestler, going against Seth Rollins and CM Punk. That is going to be the night one main event. That is the largest match coming out of Raw. And what's the prize? Paul Heyman. Doesn't speak well for the World Heavyweight Championship and how it's portrayed, the context of what it is. It's definitely not a top prize. So, going back to that first night after the Royal Rumble, that first Monday Night Raw, the choice was clear. The only person that would make sense for Jey Uso to wrestle would be Cody Rhodes. Now, does that sound like smart booking? Does that sound like what everyone had envisioned for WrestleMania 41? Babyface versus babyface, Jey Uso versus Cody Rhodes? I don't think so. Not with all the other options they had, including John Cena. But that's where we book ourselves into a corner here, because that's not really a main event anyone wanted to see given the options. And I won't say anyone, but most. Especially gauging the online reaction after Jey Uso won the Rumble. But realistically, who would go through 30 men and then choose the secondary prize? It's not going to look good on you. That's not the mindset of a champion. Stone Cold Steve Austin once said, if you're not in this business to be champion, if you're not in this business to be the top guy in this industry, then you are in the wrong business. And I think nothing more exemplifies that than these past few months with Jey Uso, because he did not choose Cody Rhodes. He chose to go after the lesser championship in Gunther. And again, booking-wise, yeah, I'm not going to put Jey Uso in the last match with Cody Rhodes. Not with the other options that are available. The other options on the table doesn't make sense. But then that just makes Uso look weak. And on top of that, the way they booked Jey Uso versus Gunther, with Jey Uso losing his confidence, tripping over his own feet, the Rocky 3 storyline where he has to watch his brother get obliterated, which, can I say, that smack that Jimmy gave Gunther on Raw a few weeks ago was probably the most exciting thing in the storyline up until that point. And then Jey Uso has this redemption arc where you messed with my family. My mom called me by my real name, which to us, his real name should be Jey Uso, not Joshua. But, you know, what does kayfabe matter? Point being, a champion, and I mean the mindset of a champion. A figurative champion, a proverbial champion, does not go for second best. And that's what Jey Uso did. A champion has confidence. A champion has swagger. A champion believes in himself and truly thinks himself is the best. And that's not what Jey Uso has been in this build-up with Gunther. He's lost his confidence. He doesn't believe he can beat Gunther, and he has no reason to. Gunther has defeated him every time. But it makes it hard for me as a fan who looks a little more than skin deep on the surface. Yay, Jey Uso, yeet. But not for me. I look at this like, I don't want Jey Uso to defeat Gunther now for the title, and I'm sure he's going to, but they did not build him up as a champion. If we go back in time, and Vince McMahon is trying to book Triple H this way, going into SummerSlam 99, and Triple H loses his confidence and suddenly doesn't think he can defeat Gunther, or Mick Foley, suddenly doesn't think he can defeat Stone Cold Steve Austin. He loses his confidence. That's not good storytelling, and that's not something Triple H would have gone along with. That's not something when Triple H went for that title, and he didn't win at SummerSlam 99. He did defeat Mick Foley the next night on Raw. But Triple H was built up to be a champion. Triple H was perceived as deserving of that opportunity. He was not going after the Intercontinental title. He had his eyes on the top prize, which is what anyone who wins the Royal Rumble should be doing. And that's not to discredit Elimination Chamber, but hey, whoever wins the Elimination Chamber, they get the second choice. Jey Uso had first choice. He got to call dibs. And just from a champion mentality, the fact that he did not choose that number one title, the fact that he chooses a secondary title that won't even main event the show. I mean, objectively, he should want to main event the show for the money. Even if he thought he didn't have a chance in hell at defeating Cody Rhodes. No one could take that away from him. I went on last at WrestleMania. There is no reason in the world why he would have chosen Gunther. So it makes him look stupid. It makes him look weak. And then again, the build-up with Gunther, losing your confidence, tripping over your own feet. The whole thing was bad. It was booked bad, and it now is at the point where I can't root for Jey Uso, and I'm sure his crowning moment will come tomorrow. But that's a weak champion who's made stupid decisions and who doesn't believe in himself when the slightest amount of pressure is put on him, and that is not what a champion should be. That being said, what do you think? Let me know in the comment section below, and I will be back soon with another video. I hope you all love WrestleMania 41. I hope I love WrestleMania 41. I hope with this lackluster build, it ends up being a sleeper. Comes out of nowhere, because God knows Triple H needs the W right now. His hot streak is cooling down. There's no more of that McMahon equity to cash in on storyline-wise. So, again, thank you all for listening. I'll be back with another video soon. Talk to you later.